Hey everybody, welcome to Pasadena, and this is a beautiful Japanese garden here in Pasadena. So I'll take my hat off just to do this. How's my hair look? How do I look? I look okay?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a voiceover.
Okay.
So,
Should I want to see the garden?
Yeah, you can do that. Just give me a couple of times so I can just like say hi so they can see me.
Okay.
It won't just be a voiceover.
Making my way back.
And then I'm gonna get some shots of my feet walking the garden. Something like that. Keep it going. All right, I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna film my feet walking around. Stay good. Hey everybody, so it's a beautiful sunny day. The skies are clear. The water is running. The sound of running water, that is, can be heard right here from the Japanese garden. And this is a beautiful setting right in Pasadena. I'm sorry to be a bit of a Debbie Downer, but it really, reminded me. We were here, and my wife and I were here, and we were being told the story of how this Japanese garden got here in Pasadena, and it was an interesting story. To pretty much sum it up for you, it's about a rich white woman who was bored and traveled to Japan, took a liking to Japanese, motif and culture, and she returned to America with a few Japanese trinkets, but then she, I guess after finding herself bored again, took another trip to Japan, and on her second trip, on her second journey, she bought she kind of bought Japan. So she came back, and not with trinkets, but with probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. And then she created this beautiful garden, this beautiful Japanese garden. And what was once here were tennis courts. And part of her boredom was, she didn't play tennis, and so she wasn't interested in using the tennis courts, and so she decided to convert it into a Japanese garden after her trips to Japan. It sounds like a great story, but when you start to realize what was actually happening, or what would eventually happen in America around the same time that, she was building this Japanese garden, that new information, or that particular reality, sort of shades that story. Okay, what I'm referring to is the Japanese internment, or the during the Second World War, if I'm not mistaken. Japanese Americans lost their homes, businesses, and had their lives turned upside down during the war, and they were interred on basically concentration camps right here from California. They lost what their foothold on reality here in California. Meanwhile, this white woman was building a Japanese style garden. Now, the reason why I brought that up is because when we arrived here, we were both ignorant of the story and the history. And then when we were told the story, I particularly was, disappointed, because I thought this was somehow a Japanese enclave. This was a Japanese built and Japanese inspired. Well, it's definitely Japanese inspired, but it wasn't built by the Japanese, for the Japanese. No, this was someone else, an outsider, a gaijin, as they call it in Japan. who took a liking to their culture and their styles and essentially stole it and brought it back to California. Okay, well, that's the story, guys. Do some research and learn about this. And it's a real history, a real sad history. But it's, history nonetheless. It's all history. Okay, enjoy your day. It is beautiful out here. Peace. Wow, so I have to do this in rewind or in reverse. Those thoughts that I had on that particular day were, what is it? They were premature because we read the story about how this Japanese garden was constructed, how it was developed. And actually, it was a Japanese American architect who designed and was employed to do the work. So it was a win for the Japanese community. I guess, it was a wonderful win because you had someone who took appreciation or who appreciated the Japanese culture enough to have the Japanese recreate a Japanese experience right in, Southern California. And although the family was a rich white, family, they were still able to cross cultural lines and build a bridge that, benefited not only themselves, but also benefited the Japanese community. So it isn't the narrative that I presumed it was, initially. It's something different, and that's beautiful. So it was a beautiful day and a very beautiful story. And then the last thing that it made me think about is, I use the term white to describe these people, but when I look at their last names, I'm detecting, maybe perhaps Middle Eastern, perhaps Spanish, or some other ethnicity than what I would have expected, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. I would expect them to have been white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, but their last names did not, conform to my personal expectation, whatever that is. And so the idea that resonates with me is like, really, what is whiteness? Because we ascribe or we say, we use whiteness to describe, someone who is of a fair complexion or fair skin, fair meaning light. Wait a minute, excuse me, not fair as meaning light, fair. Yes, exactly, fair. Fair meaning light. I was confusing myself thinking that fair means beautiful. No, fair means light, In some texts, it was even, alabaster skin referred to white, pale, as, in the Victorian era. But anyway, we use this term, we throw around this term white to mean, hey, these are white people, as if they're all a monolith, as if they're all connected. And yet, just as I experienced when I was in Germany at the amusement park there, I saw what appeared to be white people, and yet they all spoke different languages. You could be white from the Ukraine. You could be white from Russia. You could be white from Italy. You could be white from whatever. So, the idea of just saying white, gives these other people too much power. That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to say. Using terms like that, looking at the world through a black or white lens just gives other people too much power. And these narratives, we have to be very, look at them with suspicion. We have to think critically about them because you can't just assume that was the story. Those are my thoughts. Peace.